it just doesn't stop as Alexander Zharovsky once again is making a huge impression in the KHL preseason, starting as the second line center, getting power play minutes for the second straight game, as it is looking more likely than ever that he will take a leap that not many people predicted at the start of last year. We got to dive into Zharovsky, but some other big news from Habs practices. Kirby Dach working on that knee there, working on acceleration drills, but again, it just doesn't end there. There were some very interesting drills going on. Bolduc playing some front of the net tip games, plus Laine, Demidov, and Dach. Once again, a common theme all together here at practice. All that plus an incredibly crazy Habs trade proposal coming from a certain writer that lands that exact 2C that we have all been talking about. All that coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. And you know what? We'll start right there. We'll start with the big one. We'll start with Quinton Byfield. Now, this comes from Heavy.com. It's linked down below, and I'll just open by saying, look, I don't necessarily think this is likely for more reasons than one, but I want you guys to take a look because I think people are going to be on both sides about this. And as we've mentioned before, Quinton Byfield, that pretty much exact kind of guy that you'd want if you're the Montreal Canadiens, clearly a 2C, ready to take a massive leap. I don't see the Kings ever parting ways with him, but the Kings are in a very interesting spot right now where they're kind of hitting the end of their playoff push window with Kopitar's career coming to an end. Tanoa's not getting any younger. Fiala, similar things there, but regardless, Byfield is one of the best young players in the league, and so naturally every team's going to want him, and the Habs, who have a hole at 2C, a big physical guy like Byfield who projects to be an incredible force offensively, well, he's a great target. Now, the thing is, this proposed trade involves some pretty hefty players from the Montreal Canadiens side, involving Kirby Dach, David Reinbacher, and our first round pick. So when I saw this, my immediate reaction was, yeah, no, absolutely not. And I have a couple reasons for this. That's just my take. No, I'm not doing this even for Byfield. Is that a hot take? Maybe you guys think it is. Byfield, decent contract, looking to have an incredible push in the next coming years. But Kirby Dach, look, I understand if Habs fans are maybe more willing. It's not that I'm not willing to give up Kirby Dach in a Byfield trade. It's that he's the third biggest piece, you could argue, maybe second biggest behind Reinbacher. And I still think he's ready for a great season. Again, we saw this video. Hey, it's just a little video, but he's ready to come back and make some noise this year. But, yeah, Kirby Dach is a very important piece to Montreal, but the fact that we're talking about Reinbacher and a first-round pick, Reinbacher and a first alone, I would probably hesitate for Quinton Byfield, because we've seen it time and time again, right? Like, that good, solid, smooth, skating, right-shot defenseman like a Reinbacher, this is not something that just comes around every day. Teams pay a huge premium for someone like this, and the Habs' first-round pick this coming year, with a lot of teams making that push. Look, I still think Montreal is going to be a playoff team this year, but there's a lot of other teams that are looking to be playoff hopefuls this year. But even those teams are hesitant to give up first-round picks because of the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes. And look, if one little thing goes wrong and you slip a bit in this competitive conference, this competitive division in the Atlantic, hey, having that pick could be valuable. But at the end of the day, it's like you're solving one problem, getting a 2C in Byfield, a very young 2C that fits the timeline as well. But the problem is you're giving up other guys who are around his age in Kirby Dach, who is just a year older, David Reinbacher, who is younger, and looking to be a solid second pairing with first pairing upside right D. To me, this is a no-go. I think Byfield is pretty much the perfect kind of guy that you could bring in if you're Montreal, but I think you guys are on board with me. First off, this is pretty unrealistic, I think, from both sides. LA is not looking to move on from Byfield, but if they were, that would be a very tempting offer from Montreal that I don't think Kent Hughes would ever offer. So, to me, it doesn't make any sense, but again, keeping our eye out on guys like McTavish and Byfield. You never know when these situations could change, and having an idea of what it would cost to get one of these star young players, well, it's worth looking into. But leave your thoughts on that down below, as we're going to get into some other good stuff here, talking about practice, baby. I mean, look, Kirby Dach working that knee. To me, this alone is a great sign. I saw people say, oh, he looks slow. Well, yeah, the dude looked fast the other day. What do we have? 2 days ago, we saw him flying up the ice in a drill. This is just a pure acceleration drill he was doing. But look, not only that, though, again, he's working his knee. He's playing in this. I'm not sure which one is him. I know he's in there somewhere. I think it was Laine that finished. But seeing this good news from Kirby Dach and seeing these guys all work together is something that's been a common theme, right? Leighton Hutson worked with Bolduc. Hey, net front tips. As a center, you might have to do that a little bit. No, I don't think this is any kind of indication that Bolduc is going to play center longer term or anything. But what I will say is that it's been a common theme to see not only Leighton Hutson working with a lot of the forwards, but to see Kirby Dach, Patrick Laine, and Ivan Demidov, who was also here, again, like the first guy on the ice again somehow, and is staying like it feels like 24 hours a day, but they're always out there together, which has made me rethink my forward lines because, you know, I've been kind of back and forth on this for a while now. I still think Caufield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky is basically untouchable as the first line. They had some incredible underlying metrics, micro stats, all that good stuff. But I think I'm more confident than ever now that line A Dach Demidov is the plan. If Dach is ready to go for the start of the season, big if, whatever. Again, he's still training well. He's skating, like every day now? It's been 4 straight days, 4 of the last 5, something like that. The guy is clearly ready to go most days. So, but I still think line A Dach Demidov has to be the plan. And I wasn't so sure about that at the start. I thought Bolduc made some more sense. You know, maybe Bolduc with Demidov and Dach, he brings that physicality, that really like high-end shot. Look, I know Line A does too, but Bolduc brings some good 5v5 defense to that line as well. But now I've kind of reconstructed it a bit with Newhook looking. I mean, I think he's ready. He's kind of poised for a breakout as well. A third line with Newhook and Bolduc on the 2 wings. That is like, both those guys have like second line upside, right? These 2 guys have middle, like borderline top 6, you know, offensive skill, and they're both still very young. Newhook is still under 25 years old. I feel like we forget my boy New. We got to play the animation every time we talk about him, but I'm starting to think that Bolduc starts in the third line, whether it's Evans centering that or maybe a guy like Veleno who's more skilled. I don't know. I think Evans, Bolduc, Newhook has a really cool combo of speed, skill, and defense, so I'm really intrigued by that, plus probably our best face-off taker in Jake Evans. But for now, I think line A Dach Demidov, to me, it's more obvious than ever. This absolutely is the plan, and they're looking to get to know each other even better off the ice now and on the ice in Brassard. And, you know, even if it wasn't necessarily Marty's plan, maybe he doesn't have this penciled in, and I don't really know how you could have it penciled in, especially if you don't know that if Dach's going to be ready. You have so many young guys trying to make that leap that'll maybe surprise you in training camp. If you at least in your head are thinking, well, line A Dach Demidov, even if you weren't thinking that, these 3 guys are out there constantly working together, seemingly getting along. Dach and Demidov, that hug, and line A just rolling, get a lot of chemistry with Hutson and Demidov as well. There's some very interesting signs there from practice, but love to see Dach working that knee, love to see Hutson working with everyone, and I think that line's more likely than ever. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. And look, to top this video off, the good news just doesn't stop flowing. But hey, before we get to the good news, click that subscribe button right now. I know I ask you guys a lot, but come on, we're pushing 25,000, and you made it pretty far into this video. Thank you, by the way, for being here. Really, really appreciate it, because we know that we all want to talk about Alexander Zharovsky. My boy Alexander Zharovsky. Habs Enthusiast has been a great follow. There's been a lot of very interesting Habs prospect updates coming from that page. Go check them out. But you can see, game day for Zharovsky, rocking the number 97. Love that number. My birth year, if you guys did not know. Any fellow 97ers in the chat, let me know in the comments. But he will be centering the second line for the second time during the preseason. Second straight game. That's another great opportunity for him to solidify his spot in the KHL. Now, problem is, he didn't score a goal this time. Oh, boo-hoo. He scored last game, or he played very well. I think he scored. I actually can't remember. How do I not remember? Doesn't matter. What matters is the performance today. He had a great game. He generated a ton of chances. I'll roll a couple clips in just a second. Again, like, the stats are not easy to find, but Habs Enthusiasts watched it, which is just, again, another reason to follow this page. Not affiliated, but just, you know, I shout out when we see some good pages for you guys to check out. But played around 18 minutes and got power play time. He won most of his faceoffs. I think he should make the KHL team. That's a bit more of maybe an opinion take, but I would tend to agree. And Alexander Zharovsky, for the last little while, like we talk about this every time he comes up on the show, but when I think he did score last game. I'm still thinking about that. But when he got his shot in the playoffs last year, he looked so good. His skills, his puck skills there, he kind of lost the puck. But his skills are so high end that he just creates a ton of chances. I mean, that pass there, again, didn't lead to a goal. It very well could have. Not many clips out there from this game. These are just the ones I could find. A nice little move in the shootout. Could have scored. But this kind of guy, like, to have this chance, to be able to center your second line for your KHL team in the preseason, to me, is a big load on your shoulders, but also a big opportunity. And for a guy, again, that's looking to make that jump to the NHL, he has been clear about that. He's buddies with Ivan Demidov. These guys, like, basically grew up in a way together, right? So to have him have that ultimate goal for his team, Ufa, to know that, Ufa Salavat, to know that he wants to go to the NHL, for them to say, we're going to give him a platform to showcase his skills, For him to say, hey, he forced our hand in the playoffs last year. He made us play him. He was that good. And for them to now give him second line center twice in the preseason, it's just all signs are pointing towards Zharovsky really taking a big leap this year. Now, whether the points will come once the KHL regular season starts, maybe it gets a bit more physical, a bit more intense, something like, look, Zharovsky used his body extremely well in his goal in the last game. Now I'm remembering, because I did make that video, using his body to shield the puck to get to the net, which is something we've been looking forward to a lot from him, to use his body a bit more, because he wasn't the heaviest guy. But once that physicality, that intensity of the KHL regular season starts to come, I actually fully anticipate Alexander Zharovsky to just live up to the challenge, live up to the expectation. I'm super excited for him, and I know you guys are too. And if you want Alexander Zharovsky to score goals this season, you have to hit the button below, the subscribe button, because, hey, like we say all the time, if you hit that button, good things happen to Habs prospects. It's happened. Look at how good our prospects are doing since we started this channel. I'm just saying, is it a coincidence? Probably, but you don't know that for sure. So thank you guys for tuning in every single day for all the latest Habs content. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you in the next one.